What's up, everybody? It's the Queefing Dead. It's the Hardy Construction's covering of The Walking Dead Season 5. Or is it 4?
Season 4.
Right, I just went into the future for that second. But it's Season 4. So, Danny, what's the name of this season so far?
My name's not Danny. What's your name?
Oh, my name's Alex. What's yours?
Danny.
We usually have Thea with us, and that's probably why it's fucked up. So, thanks, Thea. Let's thank Thea.
Thanks a lot, Thea. You know what? Wherever you are right now, I hope you're miserable.
Anyway, so The Walking Dead Season 4 so far, which started out a couple weeks ago. How many episodes has it been so far? 10? 5? 8?
Let's look right here.
Feels like it's been 6 episodes.
8 episodes.
8 episodes? Feels like it's been less than 8 episodes. So, it's covering the gamut of what? How did this season start out?
It started with a terrible plague.
But it started out even earlier than that. It started out from the ending of Season 3's battle with the governor, which had
when he guns down all his people.
It had the governor wimping out, well, not wimping out, but running with his tail between his legs in defeat, killing most of his people, leaving with 2 of his crew guys. Was it 2 or 3 guys? 2 guys, right?
It was that big giant black dude and that big giant Spanish dude. Danny
only sees in colors. And they drove off into the sunset after mowing down the rest of the people. The rest of the people from the town of Woodsbury, which the governor had covered as his protector, decided to stay with Rick and company, much to Carl's chagrin. Why do you think Carl was so kind of?
Carl's a little bitch. I don't like him.
He's gotten better this season.
He totally got better, but he is annoying.
Carl, it's funny when watching the episode yesterday because Carl is. He is growing into a young man, going into like 12 maybe or something like that.
Yep.
He has the body of like Elle Fanning. He has like a girl. He's kind of like effeminate and male at the same time. It's just the hair that throws me off, and he kind of looks like
I'm glad you stopped wearing the hat.
He kind of looks like Carol to me. Like if he was
really?
Carol with black hair. Yeah, it just looks like Carol to me. Anyway. So from there, we have the community already has begun to thrive, which is a couple of people. Which I don't understand with this show. How many people are staying with them? Do you know? Because I don't know.
I don't know the exact number, and it doesn't really matter because they come and go.
I know, but for some reason, like we'll jump into the mid-season finale. This episode that just passed by Sunday. We notice when the governor they retread the governor storyline. Basically, maybe for whatever reason we'll get into it, but he comes in. What does it look like? He has like 15 people with him.
What?
I don't know how many people he come. For some reason, when they have these big gang wars with the governor, like this is the #1 show on television, like ratings wise. It is.
Oh, how they had so many people shooting. You're saying?
No, it sounds like there's a lot of people shooting. I only see like 12 to 15 people actually shooting guns, and Rick is like, we can't outgun them, or whatever character says we can't take them all on. It's like 15 people. I only see like 15 people.
Yeah, but they got a tank. I mean, that's a big deal.
I get that, but it's almost like there's like a fucking cavalry, like a giant group of people. I think enough people live more in the prison than they do with the governor's 2nd Brigade. But
yeah, but half of them friggin' died and half of them are friggin' sick.
So let's get back to the beginning of the season, which starts out with what kind of menace they find.
I call it the butt plague.
And why is it a butt plague?
It makes your head turn into a butt, and then you puke out blood and you die.
Your head turn. Whose butt looks like that? Does your butt look like that?
My butt does look like that, yes.
Wow, that's like a baboon butt. So anyway, we were introduced to a couple of characters in the first episode of the new season, which was season 4. And I think one of them was called Peter. I'm not sure. Kid with the glasses, the Harry Potter guy.
Oh, that was Patrick.
Patrick, whatever, same thing, P. And it was funny because when you read the liner notes and what new characters are coming to the show, they're like, Patrick is Carl's friend. I was like, didn't Carl only had like 1 sentence with him in the show? And then Patrick was dead by the.
Well, they weren't showing the behind the scenes, like you were saying. He's coming into puberty.
I thought they literally just met. Oh, you thought some shenanigans was going on.
Zach is Beth's boyfriend.
Yeah, Zach was very familiar character actor. I can't think of. I've seen him in a lot of stuff. I think he wasn't My So-Called Life, although I never watched that show. He kind of looks like Evan Peters mixed with.
You were obsessed with that show.
Oh yes, I dyed my hair red and I started hanging around in high schools, even though I was like about 40 at the time. So that character gets killed in the first episode. We're introduced to Bob Stuckey, who's the guy from The Wire. If anybody watched The Wire, he was one of the oh god, he was one of the good bad guys in that show. Anyway, Bob Stuckey's a drunk. His drunken rage has it ever happened to you where you wanted to get liquor or something so badly that you dropped the bookcase on yourself and it caused everybody else to die?
When I was in the library, yeah.
So what happened? Anyway, you're just reaching for.
I knocked over several bookcases.
And then a helicopter. Which helicopter falling through the roof? Was it a helicopter that fell through this, or was it just people that fell through the roof?
It was actually a blimp in my case.
In this episode, was it a helicopter? Well, I forgot.
It was a helicopter, yeah.
Which one did it better, Demons, or did this one do it better?
I liked this. I thought it was pretty good. I liked the way that they were all raining through the ceiling.
I liked how random it was in Demons when the helicopter just kind of fell through. But this one.
They had better music in Demons.
That's true. There was some guy playing a synth back in the background. So yeah, bunch of characters introduced. Not really anything interesting. We get a little bit more. I assume, did Carol start a relationship with Daryl off screen because she calls him Honey Bunny or something?
Who knows what it is, but they definitely were acting like they were.
I would have figured
it's
Daryl.
About time. That woman needed a penis in her for sure.
Or she wanted a penis on her. I was thinking that Daryl would have been like steamrolling through many girls in that show, but maybe not. You know what I mean?
He was, but she was headquarters.
He did it on the. Oh, that's when he knew where to park his Dodge, so to speak.
You're right.
Yeah. So I mean, he's into older women. So what are they called? Grave robbing. Right. And I guess he was with Carol. Although maybe that was more to appease.
And now that her child is dead, he fulfills her pedophile urges.
He gets to fill the womb, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So Carl is there with his fruity hat and his fruity haircut. He has his fruity haircut. Glenn and Maggie are still fucking around, trying to be cutesy. They're forcing the relationship issue onto the show. I gotta be honest, the first.
You know what though? I have to say, from the comics, Glenn is the most loyal to the comics. His whole.
Yeah, Glenn was a nicey pants in the comic book.
Glenn. The likable person in the show and the comics.
Glenn is a nicey pants in the comic. Anyway, so he's very nice. Maggie, she's a little bit more bitchy in the comic than she is in the show.
I like her though.
In the show, she's hot. Come on, it's Lauren Cohen. Oh God, she's hot. I didn't even know she was she's half. No, she was English or something, and she was raised in Australia, so she has a weird accent.
Her and Rick probably laugh that they have such great American accents.
Yeah, right. But it's so funny with Rick because Rick, on the show, he's like, "You got to stop it." And then when you talk to,
he's like a British.
And he's like, "Excuse me, sir. Let me talk about this episode right here." He's like that. He really does that too. Who else is there? There's Michonne is walking around and doing her thing.
She's opened up. She's no longer this grim-faced bitch anymore, which is great because I like her character a lot.
I do like her character a lot. She's still pretty much worlds away from in the comic because her comic character's still
a little crazy.
Less crazier, I would think. She's less crazier than. How far did you get into the comic books? I won't delve into it.
I'm maybe 10 issues behind where they're at.
Oh really? Okay, so I'm up to her now. She doesn't seem. I think she.
Well, she talks to herself and stuff in the comics.
Yeah, but then we find out why she did it is because she did it just like Rick used to in the show on the phone,
but
and
she was a little more weird.
I think she was. Yeah, well, true, but
she also opened up in the comics as basically getting Tyrese to cheat on Carol.
Right, because Carol's completely different in the comic.
In the comic and shit, it's totally different.
Carol's a different type of old hag in the comic book, and she meets a different fate. And I like what they did with Carol in this one. So anyway, Carol's character is secretly teaching children how to defend themselves when she's supposed to be reading them storytime books.
Right.
And I think Carl is a little fuck and tells Rick about it.
He's such a little rat. I mean, he's
why wouldn't you?
I forget what episode it was, but he's giving Herschel a hard time by going outside. He's like, I can't let you do that. He's such a little punk.
And Herschel is, as always, what is he? He's
the Dale of the group.
He's the what?
The Dale.
Oh, okay. He's the Dale of the group, pretty much. He's pretty much the moral center of the show so far. Beth is there, cute as always. She's learned to give up when or not give a shit when somebody dies. So when she was hanging around with Zach,
She's dead inside.
fairly much, and she's very cute. Even though she's playing what, 16 years old on the show,
Yeah.
and she's like 24 in real life, which is very creepy because she looks like a kid.
Right.
So yeah, anyway, the show progresses with this plague that kind of fucks up the whole crew, which leads to a murder mystery. What did you say? How do you think they handled that? You think it was pretty cool? I didn't really notice what the fuck was going on when they had two bodies.
I think it was like side filler almost. But
it led to something very pivotal.
To something big. But
Yeah. It was very,
just seemed like now they're just throwing this thing in there for no reason.
It was very pivotal to the show. Of what happens to one character because of that situation. Do you think? I was reading stuff online. Do you think Carol really did it, or do you think
she said she did?
Yeah, but there's a theory that the kids that she's been training actually did it, and she was covering up for them.
Explain the rats too.
Yeah, because we find out that somebody's been feeding rats to the zombies outside. Remember, the kids were saying, "Oh," when they did the little drawings and they were naming the zombies and stuff like that.
Yeah, that one girl, I forget her name, but the older sister, she's definitely disturbed.
The blonde.
Yeah, she could totally be the one feeding the rats to the zombies.
But then we found something even creepier in the mid-season finale, was that somebody was making vivisection art with like a rabbit or something. Like, that's like a little bit beyond kind of just having some kind of weird fascination with feeding the zombies and naming them, like doing vivisection art, which is basically like splitting open an animal and nailing them to a wall like a serial killer kind of thing. Is kind of creepy. But
that goes back to something in the comic too. There is a deranged child in one of the comics.
Right, and although I don't, maybe they're doing that angle in the show as well. But that
seems like they're taking old things, like the tank thing. That's like
that was definitely. I think what happened is the last showrunner. It wasn't this guy, right? It was a different guy. Scott Gimple is running the show now.
Oh, I don't know.
And anyway, it's a new guy now, and maybe I think because what they did with the third season finale and the season finale, the mid-season finale, they basically retreaded the whole fucking thing. It was the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, because basically this half of everybody's seen, obviously, if you're listening to this, is the governor came back with his whole new crew of people that he happened to meet up with, and they tried to take over the prison.
Prison, yeah.
And
what I like is that, I've already given up on it being like the comic. Like I said, Carol's like 20 in the comic. So many things are different. The governor dies in the comic like way earlier. Like, he comes back, he has no arms, like he's missing an eye, all this shit, and he declares war, and then he dies, and that's it.
The governor was incredibly comic booky in the comic book.
Yeah, he
was. There wasn't any depth to him. They gave him some depth to the show.
I like how they gave him like a backstory and made him become kind of good.
Yeah, there was a novel that's apparently really good called Rise of the Governor that came out that they based a little bit on it. I didn't see it because obviously
by Kirkpatrick
or Robert Kirkman. Yeah, maybe Kirkpatrick too, but I don't think that guy exists.
Kirkpatrick, actually.
So apparently that's a novel that that's a novel that exists that people say is really good. So it's a back novel. A prequel kind of novel. And I think they used some of it to inform, or the actor who played the Predator. Yeah, the Predator's in this. The actor who played the governor read some of that to inform his.
The new twist.
That's what it is.
Instead of just dealing with zombies, you're dealing with aliens.
When he took off that eye patch, everything turned infrared. And then a large Austrian man would be in the middle of a jungle going, "Come on, take me now!" It's like that. So anyway, the governor does come back. I feel almost like Scott Gimple, the guy who ran the show, was like behind the scenes saying, "Why don't we just do what the comic did?" He's watching the season 3, and then he was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna redo the comic version just for this," because apparently there's like they showed. I was watching the Talking Dead, which is funny because how we shit on that show, but this is basically what we're doing right here.
Right.
Our
voices aren't as annoying.
Yes, they had. Although that might be debatable on my end for me, but they had Lauren Cohan. They had Scott, who played Herschel, and they also had Robert Kirkman there. And they showed a scene from the next season, which has Carl leading the zombies around, which Kirkman says directly comes from the comic. I've just recently, probably a couple of months ago, read the comic full through basically, and there's a lot. If you can find that on YouTube. There's amazing.
I don't recall that.
It's that sequence is I think when Rick was going crazy on the phone in the comic. Okay. That's already passed in the show, but they directly lifted it, I believe, from this is before Abraham and everybody else in the show. And there's also theories that
Oh, I heard Abraham's coming in.
yeah, he is. And I saw the face of the guy they picked, so he looked pretty much familiar.
I can't wait. He's like basically Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, he is. He is pretty much. And apparently, people were saying there's a sequence. I forgot where it happened in the season that they heard a voice over the radio, and that might be Abraham. So I mean, that might be something relating to.
Yeah, and that's when he almost got in the car accident. They don't go back to that.
Right. So I mean, there's something like that going on. Myself, I wasn't too crazy about this season. It kind of felt like I was indebted to watch the show. Like I just had to watch it just because.
I liked it. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's okay, but I mean, it wasn't too kooky. But like last season had some very strong episodes. Myself, I don't like what they did with the governor. I don't really care. I mean, I understood why they did it to make him kind of this villain that's the opposite of Rick. You know what I mean? With who leads with totalitarianism. I can't even use the word. Fuck it. He leads with rage. That's what I meant to say. And Rick was leading like that for a second until the council kind of told him to calm his shit down.
Yeah.
And how, do you think Rick really didn't do anything that kind of... Well, he did kind of important things. He did make a decision to kick Carol out. What'd you think about that? Being a fucking...
Being a dick.
He was being totally a hypocrite. You know what I mean?
He overreacted.
I almost said a hypocrite.
He could have not told Tyrese. How about that?
Yeah, and then Carol...
He did on someone who died already.
Because I understand Carol was covering up the tracks, but she should have bullshitted and said those people died already, and that's why she burnt their bodies. Instead of saying, I killed them. I was like, Carol, you stupid ass, just say they died and then you took them out and burnt them.
Carol's got to stick up her ass. Literally.
It's not
Daryl's.
Daryl's.
Left it there.
Oh, Daryl left it there. It has his name engraved on. He's
That's
like...
part of their bondage.
He's like, if you leave this with this stick out of your ass, I'm going to beat you senseless like your old husband.
When you get back from your work of the day, I want to smell that stick.
That's why you never see her sit down in the show. She's always standing erect.
Right.
Although there's no really other way.
Daryl's always erect, too.
What'd you think of Daryl this season?
I like him. I feel like they're kind of parodying himself against himself.
I think pretty much he's going to be immortal on the show because a lot of people like his character. Do you know what I mean? For a character that didn't exist.
I love Herschel, and look what happened.
Well, that's true. Herschel. That made me very sad because they replaced in the comic book. If anybody read in the comic, well, since it happened to somebody else, Tyrese switched places with Herschel. Although Herschel was supposed to die in the first conflict at the prison, the original comic book, and they echoed some of it in the show. Although they totally didn't kill the baby. I know they didn't. Somebody left with the baby.
I think Beth has the baby. Is my theory.
Maybe, but they showed her before the baby. Oh, well, it could be. But they showed. I think somebody ran off with the baby, right? So it might be her. You're right. There were definite echoes to the comic book because in the comic book, Lori, because the arc of the governor story happened a long time before, and the governor storms in, and I think the girl who killed him in the comic book was alive in the show. Did she kill him, or was she just the sister of the girl?
You know, it's been a little while. I don't remember.
I think she was there, but I think she was the girl that chicken shitted out with the pigtails. So
Okay.
Anyway, whatever. In the comic book, Laurie's running away with the baby. They get blasted by the girl who eventually kills the governor. And Robert Kirkman's idea was like it'd be great to have somebody who's randomly in the story just kill him, and then he realized it's not as satisfying, so he wanted it to be a double punch with Michonne and his new wife or whatever, so to speak, or his new lady. And I was like almost. I almost feel guilty because when the little girl that the governor had adopted, she got bit by that mud zombie, I was cheering. Just so his character could have no happiness, but then I realized that's kind of shitty because that kid really couldn't control what was going on.
So
and her mother
cut off the kid's arm.
Right, and her mother's an asshole too because she was just sitting up there watching a zombie flow down river while she could have been keeping an eye on her kid.
Yeah, that's what I never understand. It's like if there are zombies walking around, you don't let anyone out of your sight.
Of course not. I wouldn't let
people walk through dark corridors by themselves. What is wrong with them? They should be going in pairs all the time.
What did you think of Glenn's sickness arc? You think they would really have killed him off or no?
I mean, the whole sickness thing was completely made up, not from the comic at all. I mean, and
I'll give him A for trying something different.
I liked it. I mean, I liked it, but it was kind of almost filler a little bit.
It definitely was. This was all filler.
No Glenn's dying from that, you know.
This was all filler for a governor to do something, because I mean, it really felt like not that much.
Basically, what came from it, the only useful thing that came from it is Carol is out of the group, and that's not permanent. She'll be back.
Yeah, because I remember there were theories. Oh, the Carol's gonna run into the governor, or maybe Carol, is gonna come. But I was like, obviously she didn't run into the governor. I hope her thing is wound up. But you think they'll tell Tyrese? Because when Rick told Daryl, right? When Rick told Daryl that Carol was gone, it was kind of like a little bit anticlimactic. I figured Daryl would have knocked him out of his fucking ass because Rick has killed plenty of people for the sake of the group. But now all of a sudden he goes, I have a son, you can't. And I'm like, this motherfucker's killed more people than Carol has, I think, on the show. Definitely. Out of self-preservation. But because he's being selfish out of his own self-preservation, he doesn't want her around, which is...
He could have just fucking not told Tyrese.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's the biggest bunch of horse shit. Like, he feels...
I feel like that they had Tyrese fight him, because that's kind of like the comic.
Right, they did, but that's already happened because Tyrese was kicking his ass, you know what I mean?
It's good that they threw that in there.
So Rick's kind of a shithead. There's some website that I go to sometimes called badassdigest.com, and it's a very horrible name. But he's writing how the show is pretty bad and it's mediocre because they kept Rick as the main character. And I'm like, the whole storyline is Rick with his son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the whole point. And that's what Kirkman did with the comic book. Kirkman's story, basically what he said is that we're going to follow Rick to the very end and show his relationship with his son. And that's the whole point. And the show is about fathers and son. And especially, and somebody else said, whenever there's a moral character, and this is what Chris, whatever his face, said on Talking Dead, whenever there's a moral character, he dies on the show. Like that. So Dale died first, and now Herschel died. What did you think about Herschel's death?
I was sad. I was really
very sad. I think he's a great actor, and I was very let down.
I guess it was time or something. I don't
know.
Because
in the comic he died in the melee of the first Governor comic book arc. Oh, that was the first and only Governor comic arc, and he died. The prisoner that gets shot through the forehead randomly dies in that too. A bunch of people died
Axel?
in that. But the most important thing is that Lori and her kid died, and that kind of got Rick and company running out of there. And although it's not the severe blow that Rick had with Lori, it's still up there, I think, with character-wise, because he's kind of been like the nice Santa Claus. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a bigger role in the show, though.
Yeah, he was definitely a lot bigger in the show. And
he's kind of an asshole in the comic at first.
Yeah, and they did do that in the beginning, but not as horrible because he always had that soft cadence and the way his character was. He wasn't really like as mean. He was just more in the show, which can translate better than a comic book, is having wanting to protect your children, which was what he was doing for his daughters and his late son.
Well, he did a shit job.
But anyway, we see Beth and Maggie's reaction to it, and I was almost like teary-eyed, like a little fuck when I was watching the Talking Dead, and they were talking to the actor because the actor is just like Herschel in real life, like the way he talks and stuff. And you can hear him pausing, and then the girl who played Maggie starts almost like crying, talking about it. And I was like, Jesus Christ, it's a fucking show about zombies, and I'm feeling sad about this. But at least I felt something about the character because I really haven't felt much about anything.
He's great. I don't know. First of all, I have to say, watching the show very fast without waiting a week. Because that's what I did before the season.
I think this show would be amazing if it was on Netflix straight because.
The show is definitely designed to be watched fast.
Yeah, because it's a slow burn show, except for when they have the zombie stuff. I waited a whole week until this episode and then saw the previous episode because I hadn't, and then watched the finale. So I was kind of like, okay, I did it good.
Good finale.
It made it a lot. This was a great finale, yeah. Because, but I mean, I guess you can't really expect the show to have that heightened every episode. They were like that season 3. The first 4 episodes or first whatever episodes for season 3 were insane. Remember? But I remember going, whoa, holy shit! And then it kind of got into a lull, and then sort of picked up towards the end.
Oh no, season 3.
What'd you think of the backstory Governor episodes where he was kind of like doing stuff? I was looking away from the episode where he kind of came back and they kicked Carol off, so I didn't even know he had returned until somebody said something. I was like, oh really? I was just looking away from the screen and the credits came up.
It was cool, but I was hoping they wouldn't drag it out too long. They dragged it out a little longer than I would have liked.
Yeah, it was like 2 episodes of him getting his shit together, changing his name to Brian to placate this family. I didn't even notice it because I forgot what his real name was. Was it John or something like that, or Jacob or some shit like that?
Philip.
Was that?
Philip.
Oh God, yeah, he should have stayed with Brian. And he was like, he saw the name Brian
I
on
think he
it.
should have changed his name to Nancy.
He saw the name Brian on graffitied on some wall. I guess it was a wall of survivors or who we lost and stuff like that. And he moved in with his family, and then it kind of, I guess it was character building for him. So I guess people really did like his character or not. I thought he was an evil badass. He was an asshole, that's for sure. Because he started when he came back and met that dumb Spanish guy who was his friend, and I can say it because I'm Spanish. He kills him. He throws him into a zombie pit. I think out of he just wanted to be in charge again. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, he just went crazy because he saw Michonne and Herschel, and then whatever.
He's a nut job.
Yeah, you think he would have killed Michonne first, but whatever. Michonne kept her promise, stabbed him.
I think he genuinely was going in with good intentions with that, but then he went insane again.
Yeah. He just got pissed off because he called him a liar. He was kooky. He was a crazy guy. Well, did they ever say what his original job was? They didn't, right? It's probably in the book.
He did something embarrassing, like and degrading, probably like an office job or something.
Oh, maybe he was like the guy who put the, when you have a vibrator with the mouse heads on it, you have to put the little thing to keep the battery in. He probably did the bottoms. That's what his job was. Right. So
go on an assembly line.
That's what it was. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of, for me, the season was okay. I feel like I was obligated to watch it. But I mean, it was a great season finale that got shit done. And it kind of felt like all that other shit before it was, this could have been handled in 4 episodes this whole season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. It didn't all necessarily need to be there, but I liked it. I enjoyed all of it.
They had to find a reason to keep it 8, was it 8 episodes you say?
Yeah, 8 episodes.
They had to keep it 8 episodes long. So I guess because it's
they probably could have made it like 7. Yeah,
it was 16 episode season. I assume it's 8 more episodes.
Yeah, 16,
and I assume they needed to just kind of pad it out with the plague, which kind of fixes itself 5 episodes in, because Glenn is still dealing.
Well,
with
they get the antibiotics.
Yeah, Glenn is still dealing with the after effects. He's on the bus. I don't think he stayed on the bus. I think he'll run into Maggie. Sasha is Tyrese's sister.
Yep.
She looks like she's ready to rock and roll. She's trying to get up.
Cool, yeah.
She's trying to get some of that loving from Bob Stuckey.
Daryl should hook up.
Her and who?
Her and Tyrese.
Sasha?
Yeah.
Just incestuous? Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I can tell it's very racial overtones what you just made with that joke. But anyway, so Daryl almost kicks Bob Stuckey's ass. And very racial, this guy, Danny. Anyway, so Danny, what'd you think of the season so far? How would you rate it?
I would give this season an 8.5 out of 10. One really fucking sick scene where they pushed a zombie's head through a fence and you could see it splitting up like a.
That was cool. Yeah, that was very memorable. I did also like the one where the governor pulled the top half of the zombie's face. The jaw extended. Yeah. That was pretty cool. So I mean, I was gonna give it a 6, but I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I mean, it's very much for what you expect out of the series. Excellent season finale, mid-season finale. So February 4th, somewhere in February, the next half of the season starts up. So it'll be cool. And with that, Danny, did I say 7? Did we say what we were getting? You gave it what?
I gave it an 8.5. You gave it a 7. Did
we say what we give it for, or we'll just say the zombie death?
Yeah,
right?
I did.
All right, so I'll give it the thing with the zombie's jaw getting popped in half. So Danny, for the Queefing Dead, what's the final word for this episode, this season?
Blim.
The horror deconstruction.